The Ruckus is bringing the party to the Metro, June 7th and 8th at Adventureland Resort, with Friday headliner Chris Young.
I've got some famous friends.
Saturday headliner Jake Owen.
Yeah, caught up in a southern sun.
Russell Dickerson, Maddie and Tay, Lauren Alana, Brian Kelly, and more. Festival tickets include access to the theme park and water park. Get your tickets at ruckusiowa.com.
Use code word Steve for 25% discount for weekend VIP and weekend general admission tickets.
Meeting tonight, Wednesday, June 5th. Can I have roll call, please?
Rose Baker.
Here.
Lance. Here. Schultz.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Conrad.
Present.
McLaughlin. Present. Thank you.
Approval or amendment of the tentative agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the tentative agenda.
Second.
Rose Baker.
Yes.
Lance. Yes. Schultz.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
McLaughlin. Yes. Thank you.
Consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a request is made prior to voting.
Can I take the and vote separately, please?
Vote B separately. Okay.
L as well.
And L. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, taking item B and item L out?
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the exceptions of items B and L.
Second. Rose Baker.
Yes.
Lance.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
McLaughlin. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, item B, approval of council accounts payable claims. Stephanie?
It's just got our electric on it, so I'm gonna abstain.
Make a motion, we approve consent agenda item B.
Second.
Rose Baker.
Yes.
Lance.
Abstain.
Schultz.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
McLaughlin. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, under the consent agenda, item L, approval of community betterment projects.
That's the one that has exceptional edge on it, I do believe. That's my
Yes.
nephew.
Okay.
Thank you, Mulder.
Okay.
Did everybody understand what I was trying to do there?
Apparently not. What are you trying to do?
Well, I just asked for a higher amount. These don't come, they're just under 1,000, but this way I don't have to bring each and every one to you when it's just for the mowing.
Yeah.
Are we okay? So once we hit that 5,000 mark, I'll have to come back if we hit that mark. Okay.
We make a motion to approve consent agenda item L of community betterment projects.
Second.
Rose Baker.
Yes.
Lance.
Yes.
Schultz.
Abstain.
Clark.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
McLaughlin. Yes. Thank you.
Public hearings, I have nothing listed. Additional city business. Discussion and possible approval of using the city's insurance for the Sigourney Fountain Festival event. I believe Stuart would like to address us on this.
Yes, I don't know where I stand anymore, you guys reorganized. In the front?
I don't know.
No, thank you.
Wherever you're
No,
comfortable.
thank you.
So, hello everyone, Stuart Grossman. I am in Kiwanis, but I'm also a member of the Fountain Festival Committee, which we started last year, and we would like to do it again this year. The proposed date is the same weekend, so August 24th, from 5 until 9 p.m. We decided 10 p.m. was too late. That was one of the learnings from last time, just sort of dwindled instead of, okay, well. And so before moving forward with the general framework is going to be exactly the same. Details will be different. We're not going to do cotton candy because it was slow and people got burned, right? Our staff, our people, not citizens. But in general, it'll be the same sort of vendor fair, activities, and music, and sort of street games. We're going to reach out to businesses right away as soon as we are sure we're going to do it, which is really kind of mostly in your hands. So if you guys are on board for doing it again and letting the city's insurance cover the event, we're more than happy to put it on again.
Okay, what was the time again?
From 5 to 9 p.m.
5
So it's a Saturday night, the weekend before Memorial, or before Labor Day weekend. So people should be in town, the fountain should be running. A Saturday because kids are already back in school. So we did consider Sunday because we have some conflicts among our team. But we decided Saturday made the most sense. So that's where we're at. Answer any questions for you.
Is that under the possible?
It can't be, yes.
Is there any conflict with using the city's insurance to do this?
Nope,
Well,
I don't think so. I mean, we do the 4th of July and stuff, we just need to list it as a committee that we cover. And when they come to get our insurance stuff, we'll make sure we add that to that.
just an additional detail, and it was under the city's insurance last year. So this is a request for repeat performance.
We make a motion, we approve using the city's insurance for the City Fountain Festival event.
Second.
Osbaker,
Yes.
Lance,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin. Yes. Thank you.
Cool, thank you very much. I'm going to go back to being a single dog dad. We'll be back to you when we have additional details. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you. Next, discussion and possible approval of creating a subordination agreement placing White State Bank as a priority lien on the property located at 103 South Jefferson Street.
This pertains to the upper story project that's Larry Dietrich's building. So Larry's borrowing his share of the money from the White State Bank, or a portion of it, however, I don't know all those details, but anyway, when the state does the documents, they automatically put the city in first place on a lien if anything went south. So the bank is stating they have to have first seat or be in the top position to get their money back first before the city. So I'm asking you if we get this document created and do all the other steps that we have to go through, are we comfortable signing that? So, I'm not gonna pay to have all that documentation done and all that work done if the council's not comfortable signing that document. And I think the reasoning behind it is, for the first 3 years, there's a lot of hoops Larry has to jump through to rent that. Although Area 15 has been awesome, he's got somebody in there now and he went throughout the process, so he has to do that for 3 years. And if he doesn't do it, the state can, it's my understanding, that the state can come back on us and say, hey, you're not following the rules, therefore you have to give back the grant money, which in turn we would turn around and say, Larry, you didn't follow the rules, you have to give back the grant money. So that's why the city's in first, but according to those documents, but the bank is just under 75,000.
And what's the cost of process then? You said some costs.
There would be associated with them, and I'm not sure those might be Larry's costs. You mean to do this document?
No, yeah, I didn't know there's an additional cost to us.
Yes.
At this time.
Yes, we'll have to have an attorney write that up, and I don't know what all flows with that, but I'll find out. And then it has to be reported, and all filed
Okay.
together, so.
I would say the fees would be his responsibility to pay.
Right.
I would say the fees would be his responsibility to pay.
Right, but I'm just asking if we're comfortable signing the document. If we have to do this, are we comfortable? White State Bank is good with it, if the city's good with it. So,
I don't have any problem with supporting it, and I just don't want to go through any costs to do that. I mean, if White State Bank wants to present the paperwork,
okay. Well, it was my understanding that it would be either the bank's or Larry's costs. It would be their fees to pay.
Any other questions?
So I make a motion to approve the creating of the subordination agreement placing White State Bank as a priority lien on the property located at 103 South Jefferson Street, so long as the city doesn't generate any cost associated with it.
second.
Baker,
Yes.
Lentz,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Keokuk County Economic Development Report. Gary, will you fill us in, please?
So, you may have noticed the farmer's market started this evening. Looks really nice over there. I'm really happy with Sandy Lop and the way she administers that. I think it's gonna be even better this year than it was last year. We've got food trucks, I think, lined up for every event throughout the summer. I think most weekends we've got, or most events are covered with music. I think there are a few that are still open. So, and I noticed that there are a number of new vendors over there. So opening week was really nice. Planning for the car show is well underway. I think it's scheduled for the 20th, if I remember correctly. And we're well ahead of the schedule over what we were last year. Last year was a real scramble. So they're doing a really good job, I think, in planning things in advance. I'm really pleased with the team. A lot of focus has been given over the last month to separating Keokuk County Child Care Network from Keokuk County Economic Development. We're now two organizations, two separate nonprofit organizations, and the Child Care Network is going to start going its own way. We're in the fundraising phase now, and we're going to start getting word out to the market so that we can begin to judge interest in the service that we offer. So that will probably begin in the next two weeks or so. And we're always looking for new members. So spread the word. That's all I have for this week.
Thank you. Park and Recreation, discussion possible approval of early morning lap swim.
Brooke Garinger, the co-manager, said she's been approached by a few people. They'd like to do an early morning, like a 6 a.m. lap swim, and she's willing to cover it, or to go be there. She says she thinks there's 3 or 4 that are committed to doing it a couple days a week. She would like to see at least 6. But anyway, we just felt council should know, blessing. She said if they try it for a while and they're only getting 2 or 3, they will probably stop. But if they can get up to 6, she would, she's willing to do it. So that'll probably be her. She said so.
Only if they get up to 6?
Well, she'll start it and see
Okay.
how it goes.
Okay.
She's hoping to work up to that many. But she'll see if they have consistency and, you know, even if they had 4 every time, she would probably be okay with it. It's gotta be worth opening and, you know, her
They just
time.
pay a certain fee each day,
I think it's $2 to lap swim.
so she just wants enough to pay a lifeguard to be out there.
Well, but that lifeguard will probably be her. I think that's why she was looking at 6.
Pay someone to be out there.
Someone to be out there, yes.
If you turn anything on for the pools before, because obviously we wouldn't open water toys, but. Okay.
No, I think she
Not
talked to
extra
Dawn
cost.
about it,
Okay.
and you were good with it, right?
Yeah, there's nothing
Okay,
we have to do.
okay.
For the water toys.
So is there any additional cost to the city other than maintenance of the pool?
Well, I mean. the
Whoever's
big-
there.
Yeah, that pay whoever's watching it, so Brooke, manager or lifeguard, and then, I mean, there'll be some water usage, I suppose, in the showers and stuff, but I think it'd be minimal, the pool's gonna be there, and it's no additional chemicals or anything, right? Yeah, so,
And work is willing to do it.
yeah, okay.
Is she gonna advertise it, or how should we get the word out?
I would assume word of mouth, and she'll put it on the pool's Facebook page, that kind of stuff. Probably sign up or whatever, but yeah. I'll ask her to make sure she gets the word out. But I'm sure she will.
I'd make a motion to approve the early morning and last one.
Is that contingent upon numbers?
We're just gonna try
As far as
it.
the motion?
Oh, I don't know. That's up to you
No.
guys, no.
I can start wearing it, 20 people.
So Oostbaker,
Yes.
Lentz,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm just leaving at 6 a.m. I'm retired, leave me alone.
Okay, street sanitation.
Oh, this.
Discussion and possible approval of third and final reading of ordinance amending Title VI, Physical Environment, Chapter 5, Utilities, Billing Charges, Section 6-5-9, Refuse Collection Rates.
Well, I'll make a motion for the third and final reading of, for the collection rates as stated.
Second. Oostbaker,
Yes.
Lentz,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Water and wastewater. Discussion and possible approval of third and final reading of ordinance amending Title VI, Physical Environment, Chapter 5, Utilities, Billing Charges, Section 6-5-8, Water Rates, Section 6-5-12, Water Replacement Surcharge, Section 6-5-13, Bulk Water Rates.
And I would move that we accept the third and final reading for section 6.5.13, bulk water rates.
Second.
Oostbaker,
Yes.
Lentz,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion and possible approval of third and final reading of ordinance amending Title VI, Physical Environment, Chapter 5, Billing Charges, Section 6-5-7, Customer Guarantee Deposits.
So I would move that we approve the third and final reading of sections 6.5.7, customer guarantee deposits.
Second.
Oostbaker,
Yes.
Lentz,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 3, discussion and possible approval of third and final reading of ordinance amending Title VI, Physical Environment, Chapter 5 Utilities, Billing Charges, Section 6-5-10, Rate of Sewer Rent and Manner of Payment.
A motion that we approve the third and final reading as
Second.
Osbaker,
Yes.
Lentz,
yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Watt,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
No.
Thank you.
Public Safety, I have nothing listed. Finance, I have nothing listed. Human Resources, discussion and possible approval, resolution number 2024-06-16 regarding salaries incorporated into the adopted 2024-25 city budget as commending July 1st, 2024. Now, before we start, I trust you all had a chance to review the information that Angie sent out to you, so you understand what is happening here. And since Ed was chairman of the Budget Committee and the Finance Committee, I would like to turn this over to him.
When the Finance Committee met to develop budgets for the upcoming year, we were presented with the budgets of the various entities, the clerk's office, police, water, sewer. We were asked to look at wages and potential increases of wages to a rate that we felt was commensurate to the value we were receiving. Now that replaces seniority quite a bit. You'll note that under like road use, street sanitation, there are different increases. My view, I'm not going to speak for the others on the Finance Committee meeting, is if you're doing a job that's commensurate with everybody else, unless you have significantly more expertise, you should all be paid for doing the same job. Also, this makes it easier if people are unhappy with their jobs and we have to replace them, then we have money budgeted for that. So it was the budget, but it's just the Finance Committee meeting, not the Budget and Finance Committee chairmen, to raise rates. Then we had an HR meeting to discuss what specific rates to raise. It was not a unanimous decision, but there were rates that we thought were commensurate with the value of the job. We don't have anybody in the police department currently because we just accepted a resignation that will be effective before July 1st. So that's why there's not a specific rate for police chief. There will just be the range that we will look at in one of the next resolutions.
Any discussion or questions?
Are you done, Ed? Are you done? So I have something that I'd like to say. So, and I know this is difficult for me. So first of all, I'd like to say that I think the city of Sigourney has a great staff. Each one of them is a valued employee. I think they're all dependable, good workers, and they should all receive a raise for the coming year. I am opposed to the resolution that's being presented before us. The appointed HR committee members are Mayor Moreland, Ed Conrad, and myself. So the attendees that were present at the 528 meeting was Mayor Moreland and 4 city employees and myself. And the meeting agenda was to discuss and make
Sorry.
So the meeting agenda was to discuss and make a recommendation for the fiscal year 25 employee raises. So these handouts were distributed prior to my arrival. Employees were looking at the figures that were in front of them, ranging from, at that time, 41 cents to a $7 increase. And based on the demeanor of one of the employees present, these figures were already decided on. I will not be intimidated or bullied by an employee who threatens to leave the city if they don't receive these kind of wages. I cannot imagine any other business in this town or anywhere that would allow this behavior. These potential wage increases did not come from HR committee. As Ed said, they came from finance, which is not one of my committee. So as a result, I went into an HR meeting to discuss wages, blindsided, and quickly found myself in an unpleasant and offensive situation. To me, that's unacceptable. I would not have wished that on any one of you guys. Employees at the HR meeting shared these handouts with city staff meeting members the following morning, resulting in disgruntled employees wondering why they aren't receiving as much as other employees. Subcommittee meetings are supposed to be confidential. The city council has the final say on committee recommendations. City of Sigourney is a great place to work, and we should be proud of that, and we are. We don't have a lot of turnover based on the longevity of staff, so we shouldn't expect a new employee to make the same as an experienced employee. We have a great benefit package. They barely pay anything. We're constantly making purchases to make the city employee job a little easier. We recently approved a piece of equipment that costs over $100,000. We've upgraded our water meter system. We've upgraded our computers and software. Since I have been on the council for 12 years, we have never not given a raise. There have been 3 years when there was not a COLA increase, and we still gave raises of 2 and 3% because we value our employees. And some data for you, and I'm going to go through some years, so bear with me. In 2010, 2% across the board. In 2011, 3% across the board. In 2012, when the Public Works Director retired, we split that job between 2 city employees and brought their wages up to $20. And that was a 20% raise for one employee and a 61% raise for the other. And all other employees received a 3% raise. Since then, we have constantly been increasing department wages and wage caps in order to be more competitive. In 2013, one employee with street and sanitation and one office staff member received a 6% increase. All other employees received 3%. In 2014, 2 employees with street and sanitation and 2 employees in the city clerk's office received an 8% increase. All other employees received a 2%. 2015, raises were 2 and 6% in the water wastewater department, 2 and 24% in the street and sanitation department, 9% for the city clerk, and 12 and 4% in the city clerk's office. 2016, 2% across the board. 2017, 2, 5, and 7 in the street and sanitation department, and all other employees received 2%. 2018, one office employee received a 16% increase, and all other employees received 2%. 2019, one street and sanitation department employee received 4% increase, and one office employee received 5. All others received 3%. 2020, one office employee received 4%. All other employees 2%. 2021, 2% across the board. 2022, 4% across the board. 2023, 4% across the board with the exception of one new staff member receiving a 15%. My point is, no one is ever satisfied. They will always want more. If this resolution is passed, these outrageous increases will come at a price to the city of $77,105.60 annually, not including overtime. And it needs to stop. I'm a firm believer that if you permit it, you promote it. And I don't like the actions that have taken place. And I'm opposed to what is being proposed here tonight and ask that you vote no to this resolution. And instead, I propose a 4% increase across the board for city employees for fiscal year 25. That's all.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'll make a couple comments. Connie, you certainly have a right to express your opinion in this matter, and I commend you for sharing that, okay? I've never been under the impression that suppressing the wages of our employees is so that they're below average is a good thing, because we've continued to struggle with that. As you cited, the percentage increases that have taken place through the years. It also is a fact that even with those kind of increases, they're still behind. And when we're talking about behind, we're comparing them to employees doing similar work. So when you start out low, percentages applied to those low numbers don't yield the result it needs to bring them up to average. A 4% times $10 is not the same thing as 4% times $15. And that's what continues to happen, and the can gets kicked down the road, and we find ourselves trying to readdress this thing in single year increments, and so that's kind of what we got laying in front of us, is trying to address that. My preference would be that we could spread it out over a few years, you know, but we deal with 1 year at a time. And I don't like large increases any more than anyone else. And I know the citizens of the community certainly, you know, sit back and take a look at something like that, probably in a negative fashion. If you go out here on the street and ask what public employees are worth, you don't get a very good feedback on that matter, because they're basing it on their wallet instead of the services that are being delivered by these good employees that we have. We laid the groundwork. I'm not on either committee, by the way. I'm not on finance, and I'm not on HR. But I have confidence in the work that was done to try to correctly evaluate you know, the need for wage adjustments. That's how we operate, by committee. So I, as a member of the council, not on either one of these committees, am inclined to take the committee's recommendation on this matter. And it's difficult, but we did do the preliminary thing that needed to be done. and that was approve the increases in the other services provided by the utilities, water, sewer, garbage collection. And those have to be self-supporting, and those include the wages paid to the employees working in those services. So, you know, everything is on track for that, with very little feedback from the community until it's all said and done, and then you'll get a negative response. And I don't mind saying that and knowing that that's going to happen, because it will. But they're not sitting in here making decisions. And so I'm going to take, I guess I will take the recommendation as presented by the committees as a job well done.
I'd like to say one other thing. So on these rate increases, so never once was I informed that these rate increases included these substantial raise increases for our city workers. It was not, maybe I was misinformed. I own that mistake. I apologize to the city and our residents with low income. My bad. But I would have never approved the first and second reading had I known that those rate increases were of this size for the raises.
Well, I know the numbers were developed in the process. That's what I know about. I'm not even on either committee, but I understood that by passing the increases in the utilities, that it was addressing a significant wage adjustment. So
I was just misinformed, so this did not include all of the information that was presented, and therefore I think the city of Sigourney residents were also misinformed. So they can't complain what they don't know about, just like I can't speak out against something that I don't know about. So we'll disagree on that, so.
The city services increase isn't directly related to the increase in salaries. Those are two separate things. I realize they are related somewhat, but one didn't happen, so the other could happen. That wasn't the intent.
well, I'm not going to agree with that 100% in the fact that it was necessary to facilitate. So, you know, and I didn't come in here with a canned speech. I'm just responding to what I'm hearing, and everybody certainly has a right to bring whatever opinion on this matter. This is the proper form.
Where did you get the wages to compare with? I trusted what the department heads told me. I did not ask Williamsburg, I did not ask Oskaloosa, Eddyville, or anything. I did not do any independent search.
So the committee didn't, it was just the recommendation from.
I'm going to say, I didn't. I'm not going to speak for, I'm not putting anybody else on a pike or do anything else. I'm just telling you, I did not. I trusted the committee heads when they did it. They told me different communities, no, I didn't write down which ones that they had checked with. I'm sure that Donnie could quote you how much the water person over at Bowman makes, and Angie probably knows what all the clerks make. I didn't. I trusted our employees.
So these wages just go out of the air. There was some sort of a.
There
we
was,
looked-
So
there was no data presented, correct?
Well, in the finance committee,
The
there was a recommendation made. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I did not go like this.
That's what I'm asking. Somebody did their due diligence and provided towns
I
similar
don't
sizes.
start,
of
I have
wages.
never started a budget with my numbers. What I do is whatever Angie submits for the clerk's office, whatever the police chief starts, Donnie, whoever, they submit a budget, the library, whatever. They submit a proposed budget and we look through it. Now, at different times, while I've been a council person, I think there have been different processes leading up to the budget. What I mentioned at the second HR committee meeting that we had, where it was just Jimmy, Connie, and I, and that I mentioned to Angie today, is that maybe next year, so that there's more disclosure and more people aware of numbers, is that Donnie provides a water budget to the water committee. And it goes there, so those people see those numbers before it comes to me. And stuff, and Gary, or whoever's on the finance committee would do next year. Angie would do one that would probably go through the human resources committee that don't have, a different committee of their own. Now, I understand that's not gonna get us anywhere for this year, but the numbers that were presented and were used to build the budget were ones that came from the budget proposals from the department heads.
And I support what it said. I was in the meeting as well. That's exactly how it was done. And the motivation was to prevent, the stated motivation was to prevent the current employees from being flight risks to other communities.
My goal was just to come up with what I thought was a fair wage for the value of the work that was presented.
Anyone else have comments, questions?
I'll say one more thing. I think that the struggle that all communities deal with employees is retention. And if they're not paid in a comparable way to employees doing the same work, then they do look at going elsewhere. And I think that's most demonstrated here today with the police department. Now that has nothing to do with Chris over here, it's a different situation, but we find ourselves trying to fill positions and that we're not competitive. I would hate to see that spread beyond the police department into the other departments where we have a lot of vested training as well. So I just wanted to throw that in.
I guess the only concern I have is when you get wages comparable across the board, which these look kind of like they are, that can create a problem within each department between employees, right? Because you get one employee that might not be doing what another employee is doing and isn't. You get a riff, like he's making just the same as me and I'm doing more of a job. And that can create a problem within the city as well. But I agree, we need to provide a competitive wage to keep people here, and small cities have to do something because there are jobs out there where people can go and make more money in other communities, and we don't want people leaving here. I guess that would be my only concern is creating a problem between employees within the departments.
I'm not gonna say that I'm not aware of that, and then it's just the opposite happens if two people are doing the same thing and getting paid different wages. They're doing the exact same, but understanding that it's something we have to look at every year.
I mean, are we doing employee evaluations yearly?
I think it's been a number of years since evaluation.
Because I mean, that's one way to combat this, right? If you have competitive, or if you have wages that are similar, and you have that yearly evaluation, and then what we're gonna get to next is that range gap per position, that there is some sort of consequence for not performing your duties, that you could potentially fall down in a wage.
It has been done before. I don't know the last year that we did it,
17
and I don't know why it has not happened.
Because no employers like to do it. I can tell you that from my own experience dealing with public entities all across the state. Nobody likes to do evaluations. Or they start skipping them, and then they're worthless. And nobody really wants to, the department head usually does not want to put something negative down about something that's already not necessarily doing everything that they're being asked to do, because that just exacerbates the problem. That's why they stop doing them after a while. Are they a good thing? Are they a good thing? It'd be great if they were done by department heads or whoever's the designated folks, the HR, whoever. If they were done consistently on a regular basis, and they had terms set out with them that says, if you're not doing this, then this. They're just not done that way.
We have very good workers. In my estimation, Donnie, I don't know if you agree with this, but they work very hard. And we might be understaffed with the amount of work we have, but I don't hear any big complaints and jobs get done. One thing we have to consider is if these employees are not satisfied and they decide to go to somewhere else, what are we going to offer the next person that applies for the position? Offer him the same? You're not going to get anybody. I mean, take, for example, the police department. We had a police department when I first came here, was on the council. We had a police chief and 2 officers. Well, when Alan Landon left, our police chief, we were way underpaying the police chief and the officers also. Well, now we're having a problem trying to hire somebody, and we keep bumping the wages up, but we're still not hiring. Well, if some of these people leave, we're going to have a hard time staffing again for the wages we want to pay unless we increase the wages like this is proposed. That's my thought.
Anybody else want to say something before I make a motion?
I'd be in favor of this as long as there's some sort of a yearly evaluation that is consistently done to combat just every year giving raises just to give raises.
I would like to echo that. I think annual evaluations are essential, at least in my opinion, and should be required. Speaking just for myself, I think if you don't have statistics on employees, it becomes very, very difficult to evaluate them. So I'm a big believer in management by statistics. That makes it objective, not subjective.
Okay, so is there, we're starting to go off track, and it would seem like if that's something that is needed and wanted, then that would be probably a discussion for HR in another setting, wouldn't it? I mean, we don't have anything in our.
I would agree with that. I don't think we could add that to this at this time. It's something HR needs to go in and discuss.
I would agree with that. I don't think we want to turn this discussion into another topic. That said, I also think it's the responsibility of the department heads to manage the money that they're allocated. So if there's unhappiness with the raises, then I think it should be addressed by the department heads. That's part of their job, in my opinion. That's all I have.
So do we want to table this until we have HR meet to set up?
Can we table this?
You have
I
another.
know
Do another one? Okay.
Some sort of a system of creating a policy that there will be a yearly evaluation of each employee by department head or whatever committee, HR, whatever committee that is associated with that department before we approve these wages?
I'm not in favor of tabling to do that,
No,
because I'm not sure that that the HR committee can come up with any kind of agreement in the next month before the new budget year.
I agree with that, and not only that, but the department heads, it's not like they have 10, 15, 20 employees. And you've got one guy not doing much, and the other guy doing way more than he should. The road use, 3 people. I mean, the department heads know what they're doing. They know what these employees are doing.
Well, the number of employees the department head has underneath them shouldn't dictate if they do any yearly evaluation on it. I don't agree with that. But- And I think employees want to know too. I mean, I think if they have a sit down with their department head yearly, they want to know what they're doing good or what they're doing bad. And I think it's good for the city as a whole.
I would agree, it can be good, but at this time, I would like to see this go ahead and pass, and HR get together and talk about starting evaluations. But
Yeah.
not be part of this.
Yeah, I don't think, I guess, Adam, I understand where you're coming from. I don't think dealing with this resolution this evening prohibits that still taking place.
I just don't want us to approve this and then we continue business the way we've been doing it.
So noted.
Anything else?
Any other comments?
Make a motion to pass resolution number 2024-06-16.
Second.
Postmaker,
Yes.
Lance,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
Laughlin.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, next, discussion of possible approval of resolution number 2024-06-17, employee position wage caps. And I believe we have one thing we need to amend on this, and that is Director of Public Works. That would be Brent. His new salary would be $32, and according to the lower of these wage caps, or the wage caps that you have presented, it's not that high. So I would recommend $2 be added to the wage cap for Director of Public Works, Brent being. And that way, the wage caps would all be in line with the wages recommended.
So his wage cap would be more than Director of Public Works number 1.
No,
No,
this would be.
Oh, the 3240, okay, sorry.
Yes.
Right.
Sorry, no,
I was
that's
looking
okay.
at the
it'd be
other one.
$32.46.
And
We have $2 to that.
when we were looking at this the other night, I just wanted to point out that for public safety, if 3427 is the maximum capped wage for police chief, That's 71,000 something. I don't know, you know, we've talked about so many different police chief rates. Thank you, Chris, for leaving that for a while. But I'm just gonna tell you that cap is, somebody else will have to run through this computer again, but it's 71,000 something. It's less than 72. So,
$71,281.60.
okay.
So are we able to, later on, if we are able to get an applicant for full-time police chief to
We'd have to amend this first.
amend it? What is the police office administrative assistant? Is that currently, what's Becky doing? What's Becky doing now?
Still office administrator. at
Well, I'm
this
just saying,
point.
because her increase that we just approved went up to 22.
Correct.
And it was
This
capped
is kind of
at
a.
2032.
Well, because that's kind of a different situation, that's going to change once we go through all the processes that we need to go through. Yeah, because we're looking at an ad for city clerk.
But this
So
is
hopefully
fine
that'll
now.
happen soon. It's fine for now, yes. I think we'll have to adjust it. The other piece of it that's not correct is the code enforcement position isn't in there anywhere. And so I started doing some research on other cities and where that lands. So that's got to be added to this as well. So I think we'll be changing that hopefully in a month or so maybe.
And this is only the slot. We're not picking a wage. I mean, it could say $100 an hour for police chief. That doesn't mean that we're gonna hire somebody that's worth $100 an hour. This only creates what people would look at if they were gonna come here. And they wanted to say, well, what's the pay rate, what's the pay scale? 2356 to 3427, commensurate with experience and training.
Do we want to approve this now and then amend it later on? Or-
I'm just gonna do it either way, yeah. You can do it either way.
Any other discussion? Make a motion, we approve resolution number 2024-06-17.
Second?
Baker,
Yes.
Lentz,
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
McLaughlin.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, city clerk, discussion and possible approval of display ad to post for city clerk position. Angie, is there discussion that needs to be made on this? It's something we have to do by law.
Yes, we have to at least post this ad for 10 days, veterans preference rules. So unless there's something you want to change in it, you're welcome to do that.
What was the point of a cover letter? Was it absolutely ridiculous?
You can take it out. We can just say that they have to fill out an application. I'm fine with that. We don't have to have a resume, or it's whatever you guys want. I have no problem with it.
Resume. Yeah, I like the resume.
Okay, just leave out the cover letter. Okay, I'm good with that.
And then, well, obviously, that's,
We assume that.
okay. So if not, it says available in November, so this person didn't, I wouldn't want to apply for it now if I wasn't going to have a job till November.
Well, that's why I made sure it was stated in there. We're trying to move this forward, so if it does work with Becky moving up, if she's the top candidate, if she applies, then we're all on the same page and move forward. We might have to do something different if that is not the way it plays out. But it is something that we have to, it's only fair to post this, so.
I just am thinking, like,
But I didn't want to be
Can I make a
dishonest.
comment on the cover letter?
Yeah, I
Yes.
just didn't want to be dishonest
You want a
about when
cover
the
letter, don't
position
you?
started.
You know, this is a job that requires a lot of detail.
nobody's
Yes.
counting, right? I've never put a cover letter on them. That's fine.
It's just that I have seen applications taken for jobs that required that, and the person applying didn't do it. It was like,
That's,
okay, you don't pay much attention to detail, do you?
so. That's
Yeah,
fine,
that's-
we can leave it.
And I'm okay taking it. I'm just saying, that's
But we need
sometimes
to be,
purposeful.
we need to be consistent. We had a debate about this when we were looking for an officer before your time, while you were vacationing. And if they couldn't comply with the instructions for applying, that's kind of not a good mark. This is true.
You
Right,
get no
10
argument
page
for
essay,
me.
too. Why you love Sigourney. 10 pages, single
So
spaced.
Stephanie, were you talking about, were you wanting to extend that
No, I just,
application deadline?
no, it's more just, like, if I looked at this and I didn't know what was happening, I don't know, so I would think, oh, this isn't gonna be a job until November 2nd, that, whatever. Whereas, I would assume if someone else gets this job, we would want them to come in and learn
Right,
before then.
right.
So maybe full-time, starting November 2nd, I don't know.
Well,
And maybe I'm overthinking it, but it's fine.
you assume the city clerk third duties come November 2nd,
Yeah,
which will be trained in the proceeding.
I guess they would call and ask that, it's fine,
Okay.
ignore me.
You're
I didn't talk in the last one, I had to talk in this one. We leave the cover letters in there too.
Okay.
So I make a motion to approve the display ad post for the city clerk positions.
Second.
Osbaker,
Yes.
Lentz,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin. Yes. Thank you.
What are you whispering over there? Somebody was whispering something.
Okay, we're down to public input. I don't think we have any public here. Any input from the council? Employees?
I've got something to say.
Okay,
I just want everybody to know I'm the employee that Connie was talking about at this meeting. And I was being belittled that I don't do a good enough job to get a raise, is why I got up and walked out of this room. Because I'm not gonna sit here and be belittled. So I just want everybody to know that's why it happened. That's all I had to say.
well, I think you're the only one that.
And I didn't show anybody anything. My papers are still in my pickup. I didn't show anybody anything.
I think you're the only one that thought that. I don't think that was the majority. You're a valued employee.
Well, it wasn't the way it was being presented that night, so that's why I got up left.
Any other comments? Any other input? If not, have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Whatever.
One of the two.
We got that paper.